Welcome back to Pecan Ranch. And, no, that's not how I started. Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to Pecan Ranch. Today, I'm gonna talk to you about a couple of things. One, talk to you about tick prevention, basically bug prevention on your pasture-raised pigs. As well as I might, we'll talk about some tips that we can go over for confinement raised pigs as well. But I'm going to talk specifically about pasture raised pigs, and also give you an update on these guys' size and with some updated butcher dates and things along those lines. So here in a second, we'll chat with you. Let me. Ow. All right. So we'll be back here in 1 second. Let me get them a little bit of feed, and we'll talk to you folks here shortly. Okay, so today I want to address a kind of a lesser known thing about or a lesser known method. Hey, what are you doing down there? Hey, give me that. Okay, found some trash. Today I'm going to talk to you about preventing ticks on pasture raised pigs. Now, I've looked all over the internet, and the majority of the tick prevention methods that people post on the internet and people talk about on the internet really doesn't apply to pasture-raised pigs. And I'll tell you why. A lot of the solutions are for confinement-raised pigs, and they'll say things along the lines of, well, just make sure that the pigs don't go into tall grassy areas. Well, that doesn't work if you're on pasture. Make sure the pigs don't have access to heavily wooded areas. Well, those are literally the two things the pigs love to be in the most, and that's where they're going to get the most of their foraging nutrition from if they're on pasture. And it's not like pasture-raised pigs is a super rare phenomenon. It's something that has happened for as long as people have been farming. Pasture-raised pigs has been a thing. Now, with the modernization and the commercialization of agriculture and the large-scale production models, kind of shifted everything away from pasture-raised pigs, and there is some large-scale benefits to confinement raising. With confinement raising, you have much more control over your variables, your weight gain, and all of that. But it's a less natural way to do things. It's a way I don't want to do things. I want to raise the pigs in a manner that gives them the best life that they possibly can have and the most natural life. Are we going for a walk? You stragglers are left behind. Come on, hurry it up. Wilbur's already up here. Hey, big boy. You're a big boy. And I want them to, not only that, but they're great for pasture management, and I want my land to benefit from the pigs. And I can't do that if I put them in a confinement pen and just raise them on feed and feed alone. So because of that, we can't follow some of the tips and practices to prevent ticks. That's the thing that will be an issue in most areas, most climates. If you have tall grassy areas and heavily wooded areas, there's going to be a tick problem. So what do? Well, there's a few things that you can do. One of the best ways is you can spray them with some type of tick prevention, something that'll prevent them from getting bothered by ticks, mosquitoes, things of that nature. See, they immediately come in here into the woods, into this wooded area, they like it in here. You can see all around, there was a ton of undergrowth in here, and they've rooted around in here. There's a big cedar tree back there that they have really cleared everything out from underneath because they love to hang out underneath cedars. Well, this area is prone to have a lot of ticks, especially this time of year. When the weather starts warming up, the ticks just come out of seemingly nowhere, and there will be tons of them. I mean, last time I walked through here, before employing these tick prevention methods, I just do this short little walk along the fence line, and I would have 6 of them crawling on me just immediately within 20-30 seconds of walking through the woods. And if I spent any amount of time out here, I'd have dozens of them on me. And the pigs would be the same. They had a bunch of them on. Now, I was using a natural tick repellent, and let me tell you something about this natural tick repellent. This is what I was trying it, and I really wanted it to work, but it just didn't. It worked when the ticks were minimal, but when the ticks really picked up in numbers, it became much more problematic, and it just wasn't cutting it. It wasn't able to keep it off. And I'm not a huge fan, I've mentioned before, of using a lot of chemicals in my farming practices, especially involving meat animals for food. So I went back to an old tried and true method, and that is using a chemical called Permethrin. It is actually an active ingredient that can be found in a lot of tick sprays for hikers and campers. You'll usually spray your clothes down with it, and the residual effects will last for weeks. So you can spray your clothes down with it. But they sell it at your Atwoods, Tractor Supply, your typical ranch supply store. What's up, Wilbur? What'd you get so startled for, buddy? What? They sell it at Atwoods, Tractor Supply, ranch supply stores of any kind in concentrate. You can buy them in concentrate, follow the instructions, and but basically, roughly speaking, about an ounce per gallon of water is your mix. So it's kind of expensive, a little bit on the pricey side, but if you look at it, how much it makes, you'll get a 16-ounce bottle for a little under 30 bucks, like $26, $25 or so. But that'll make 16 gallons of the spray. And whenever I spray 11 pigs, I only use like a couple gallons of it. So it's not, you buy one bottle, it'll last you quite a while. In fact, one bottle, depending upon the size of your operation, if you're a small to medium size operation, one bottle will probably last you the majority of the summer. So the application method that I use is I use a backpack sprayer. I use a backpack sprayer because it's easier to not have to carry a bottle around or anything like that. And these are big pigs, and there are 7 of them. So I need to be able to, and they're moving targets. I need to be able to move around and spray them all, not have to carry a bottle, and only have like a 1 gallon capacity with one of those smaller 1 gallon bottle sprayers. And you certainly don't want to use one of those spritz sprayers. You won't have enough, and it'll take forever. So a backpack sprayer works really well. And the method that I use, so here's where a couple of things come into play. One, this is where it's really important to have your pigs like you, and you have to have them very comfortable with you and like to have you around them. Because if you have skittish pigs that you don't spend a lot of time around, they're not exposed to you that often, and you have to coax them around with either fear tactics or pain tactics like a pig whip or a cattle prod or something like that, and they don't really like you that much, then coming at them with a backpack sprayer will tend to, the second you start spraying them, they'll get skittish and they'll run off. And good luck trying to convince a pig that doesn't want to be sprayed to get sprayed with the chemicals. So thing is with backpack sprayer though is you'll want to be careful and pay attention to their face. You want to get in their eyes. They're not going to like that. So what I do is, one, my pigs like me, but two, I kind of distract them. I'll time it with refilling their feeder up front, and when I'm refilling that feeder, they're engrossed in that food, and so they don't really care much else what's going on. So feeding time is the best time to get them, and what I'll do is I'll take that wand on the backpack sprayer, and instead of holding it out and spraying them from a distance, I'll put that wand right up on them, kind of scratch them with it. So then they think they're getting scratched, and then I will spray them down, get them all over their back. I'll get them all over the back, get them up right behind their ears. That's where ticks like to get. And then I get all of their entire underside, and I give them a good coating with it. Now, if you read the instructions on a concentrate bottle of permethrin, it will tell you that it is safe for use on food grade livestock. However, you want to be cognizant of the fact that there is a warning that says do not spray the animals within 5 days of taking them to the processor. So you have to have not sprayed them at least 5 days prior to taking them. So as a general rule of thumb, realistically, just don't spray them the week before. Give it at least 7 days. And then there shouldn't be any health risks involved with having the chemical on your product, if you will. But to me, and you know, I could just leave the ticks on them, but there's really not a ton of risk to communicable illnesses, viruses, diseases from ticks to pigs to then consume them to humans, especially because if you're cooking pork by following, you know, the best pork preparation guidelines, then you really don't have any risk of any sicknesses or illnesses, any foodborne illnesses in that sense. However, it's more about a quality of life thing for them. I don't want them to be super itchy, and I don't want them to have, you know, 20 ticks on their bellies that it's hard for them to scratch their bellies. It's just uncomfortable for them. So that's the big thing, is to make their lives more comfortable. But then also one more thing with the application is, you know, the sprayer works good for their backs, behind their ears, and their bellies, and up underneath their bellies, get kind of in their armpit areas. That's where ticks like to kind of congregate. But more sensitive areas, you'll want to soak a rag like inside their ears, because inside their ears they will occasionally get some ticks. You see this one is pretty much tick free, but take a rag, soak it with that, and then rub the inside of the ears. And that's where, again, it comes into play, your animals being comfortable with you and letting you handle them will be a huge benefit to you. So that's the main point that I'd like to get across today, because like I said, it just doesn't seem to be something that's addressed much. And when I do see it addressed in forums where people say, well, you know, get guineas and put them out with your pigs, and that'll help keep the ticks down. But the reality is I could have 20 guineas out here, 20 chickens, whatever, what have you, that'll help with my tick control, and they're not going to keep up. Not in this size. And then on top of that, guineas don't like to stay where they're told to stay, and they might just go find themselves eating ticks on the neighbor's property and not doing me any good. So that's one way, you know, but people just don't seem to talk about it too much. Now, as a side note, these pigs, they've gained weight considerably faster than I expected on pasture out here, and so I've actually bumped up their butcher dates by a month. And that is a note, a couple of things on that topic that I'd like to kind of quickly address. And one of which is, how do you weigh your pigs? Well, Wilbur here is my biggest pig, and he's doing a good job of laying down so I can kind of show you an example. So I'll take a string, piece of paracord, and you wrap it around here on the pig. You want to be around the heart and up the top, so that way you can get the girth. And then you want to measure the length from right between the ears all the way down here to the beginning of the tail, the base of the tail there. And that'll get you your length. So with your length and your girth, you can use a pig weight estimator, a calculator. There's an actual formula for it, and I forget it off the top of my head, but usually what I'll do is I will go and you Google a pig weight calculator, and you'll find where you can input the numbers, the length and the girth, and it'll tell you an estimate of their size. So that's one way to do it. You can kind of eyeball them too, and look at them. If you've raised pigs enough and you have a decent amount of experience, you can kind of tell where about they're at on size. Like I can tell you, Wilbur, I haven't estimated his weight in a while. I usually like to check their weight every couple of weeks or so, but I can tell he's gaining. Since the last time I checked him, I think he weighed 190. He's looking like about 225, 230 right now. He's my biggest one. And then some of my girls are the smaller ones, and they're probably right about 190 now. So my smallest ones are at 190. And then, so they range from 190 to 230. And our target weight is 250 to 300, leaning more towards the 300 side though. And so one more month and they'll be at that. So how do you cope with that? If you care deeply about your farm animals, and you've grown, built a relationship with them. And we got these pigs in December, and so by the time that they'll go to butcher, we'll have had them for 8 months. That's a long time to be building a relationship with some animals. Each one of them has a name. Each one of them has their own characteristics and their personalities, and I love all of them. Honestly, I do. So how do you come to terms with taking them off to the butcher? It's honestly, it's sad. It's probably going to be sad. Maybe only your first couple times, maybe every time. And to be quite honest with you, if you're not just a little bit sad about it, that's when maybe you should be a little concerned about how calloused you are. And I've seen farmers. I've seen some farms and the way that they act towards livestock, and they have a pretty calloused approach. They see them as food. They see them as a product, and I guess that's fine if that's how you want to live your life. But I don't want to be calloused about it. And the reason I don't want to be calloused about it is because it's beneficial to care about your animals and not see them as just like a product or, dollar signs or anything like that. Because if you care about your animals and their well-being, and you're able to have them live the best life that they can, your product is going to be better. It's going to reflect in your product. I can guarantee you these pigs are going to taste better than any pig in the state of Oklahoma. I can guarantee it, because of the care and the time and the meticulous management that I've put into them. And it is going to be sad. It's going to be sad. I mean, I've got names for each of them. I've seen them grow from 50-pound pigs to, by the time they're going to butcher, 300-pound pigs. I mean, they're big old boys now, and girls. And like this big boy right here, he's a big boy, and he's sweet too. He's not, get off my foot. He's not aware of his size yet. If I get down on my knees, in fact, actually, honestly, when they get to this size, you got to start being real careful and pay attention, because these pigs like me, and he'll want to get up on my lap. And 230 pounds on, climbing up on me is a bit much to try and manage. Not to mention if I'm surrounded by other pigs who then also want to be on me, and you don't want to get caught in a half-ton pig pile. That wouldn't be fun. But you know, I've been around these pigs, you know, more or less every day. It's a rarity that I'm not out here, and that's only if I have to go work on something and my wife takes over my chore duties for the day. And even at that, sometimes when I come home, I'll come out just to see them so that they can see me for the day. So, you know, I've seen them every day for 7 months now, and 6 months now. And it'll be kind of sad to see them go. It can be an emotional experience, for certain, and it's good. Honestly, it is good. It's something that I believe you should have emotions about. You should feel some way about it, because when you quit feeling that way, then you're kind of in danger of being too calloused and not having the appropriate amount of compassion and also the value of life. You know, that's an important thing to have, is to have a value for life, all life. You know, I'm here on this earth as a steward of this earth, including, you know, not just the land that I manage, but also the animals as well. And it's my job to ensure that they're safe, they're cared for, and that they have the best life that they possibly can. And that's one of the easiest ways, or one of the major ways that I can come to terms with the fact that, like my sweet Houdini here, you're always right next to me. I walked away and all the other piggies are there, and you wanted, oh goodness, immediately you need, how many belly rubs can I give you today, Houdini? See, that's like what I like to see. Very few ticks on her, and there's like 1 or 2, and they're actually dead. So that's good, especially when we're in a tick-ridden area. So that's how I come to terms with it, is I'm giving them the best life that they possibly could have. If they were in the wild, they would have a pretty, you know, relatively rough life. Living in the wild is not fun for really any animal. It's basically it's a constant survival game. These pigs are living better than a survival game. They're spoiled. I mean, they get the benefits of kind of living in the wild and living a natural life, but they have the protection, and they get to live easy lives here, and they get to get bacon rubs every day. Isn't that right, girl? You like the bacon rubs? You like that? Yeah? Are you just gonna take a nap right here? So that's how I come to terms with it. Oh, one last thing before we get out of here. It's actually warm today, but I'm wearing long sleeves. I'm wearing long sleeves because of the ticks. And when I'm walking through the woods, I like to wear long sleeves. It's a relatively light long sleeve, but what I have done is the same spray that I sprayed on my pigs, I sprayed down my coveralls and my long sleeve shirt and my gloves. And I haven't had any ticks crawling on me, so I know the stuff works good. And I sprayed this probably close to a week ago, and it's still repelling the ticks. Read the instructions and follow the instructions. Don't take my instructions on handling these chemicals. They are insecticides, and they can be dangerous chemicals if handled improperly, and you want to ensure that you're not going to be risking your health or the health of your animals or the health of your customers either. So keep that in mind when you are handling these. Read all of the instructions and read all the cautions and warnings on those labels before using any insecticide, herbicide, any chemical that you're using. Ensure that you read those. So until the next time, we hope to see you all back at the ranch.